Key Wayne. Hey, I want to dedicate this one to my son, Noah Hassani. Daddy love you, boy. Yeah. And everybody just working through what they working through, you know what I'm saying? Everybody making the best of what they got. Hey, look, I know some OGs always working, but they never pay. Finding their way, but shit, there gotta be a better way. The older that I get, I'm feeling the resemblance. I look into my son's eyes and still see his innocence. I see my inner child in him and still the remnants. Will he lose it to the world? Is it imminent? Or is it something that me and his mama had instilled in him? And the confidence you lose, you could build again. He only 9 months, barely sitting up. He almost fell over. I called him and told him, I'm only making plays now to pass it on. One day my baby gon' have babies and I'm gon' be gone. The way time moving, it really won't be long. I pray I'm there for every memory you want me on. I gotta teach him that it's more than a rat race, more than a cash chase. And if you chase cash, that just means that it's running away. Instead of turning what you love into a company and watch the money come to me. My, what has the world done to me? Judging people off of how they look, not what they done for me. Don't assume it's number 3 of the 4 agreements. I gotta start applying everything that I've been reading. It seemed like the tragedy of losing kids will never come. I think about Trayvon, Bryant, my neighbor Deshaun. Praying for protection for my family, and that he keep his hands on me to fight through this insanity. I lay down trying to figure out the rest. Close my eyes, picture heaven, and it's where I'm at. Get up, get up.
What is good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode brought to you by the League FFB. Hopefully everybody's doing good tonight. Hopefully you guys are all in good spirits, hanging out. Just a crazy couple days, but I'm very glad that everybody can be here tonight and just hang out and talk some fantasy football. So appreciate everybody for being here early in the chat. Six Rings, Will, Johnny, Football Productions, Frank, Jonathan, all of you guys, everybody being here, appreciate you. We got a lot to talk about tonight, and we got about an hour of time, so let's just hop in, get into some of these questions. Christopher, I see you, appreciate you being here, but let's just hop it in right away because I see we got a ton of them. Six Rings says, Joe Flacco or Daniel Jones in a super flex for my quarterback 2 this week. Looking at my rankings right now, I currently have Joe Flacco as my quarterback 27, and I have Daniel Jones as my quarterback 23. It's a tough matchup against Denver, but I would still be going with Daniel Jones. Will, DeAndre Swift or David Montgomery in a PPR? Looking at my rankings right now, DeAndre Swift is my running back 25. Gets a tough matchup, kind of a revenge game for Ben Johnson in Detroit. I do have David Montgomery at my running back 28, so I would go with DeAndre Swift here. Johnny, speaking of Detroit, Johnny Detroit in the chat, full PPR, pick 2, DJ Moore, McConkey, or DK. Well, McConkey's definitely in my lineup. I have him very high this week, top 7 play at the wide receiver position in a full PPR league. Outside of the other 2, though, I do have DK Metcalf currently as my wide receiver. Where is he? Wide receiver 20 against Seattle, that revenge game as well. And then I have DJ Moore, 23. So let's go with Lad McConkey and DK Metcalf. Football Productions, DeAndre Swift or Kenneth Walker. That's a little bit interesting. Obviously, we didn't like what we saw from Kenneth Walker there in week 1. Tough week. Feels like that preseason injury that I kept trying to warn everybody about. I kept trying to warn you guys that he was dealing with something. Seems like it was still something that kept him off the football field a little bit in week 1. We'll see if that changes here in week 2. But between Swift and Kenneth Walker, I am going to lean Kenneth Walker. It's a pretty decent matchup. Still think maybe he can get it going this week. Where are we at here? May or JJ Murphy? JJ McCarthy? I would go Drake May. Drake May's the play for me. Have him higher in my rankings this week. That may shock people, but I like what we saw. Frank says, should I pick up New England, Detroit, Indy, or Tampa Bay defense this week? I have Kansas City, but I'm not starting them. Looking at my defensive rankings here in week 2, New England, Detroit, Indy, or Tampa Bay. The highest that I have there is New England's defense. I like the matchup against Miami. Obviously, Miami had a horrible week last week. If you don't feel comfortable playing New England, Detroit would be my second best, but New England is the highest in my rankings right now. Pickens, Wandell, or Mooney. PPR pick 1. Get extra point for first down and 1 point for 10 return yards. Okay, yeah, it's interesting. I still have Mooney and Wandell fairly low in my rankings. I would be playing George Pickens, who comes in this week as my wide receiver 28, so he would be my play, Jonathan. Christopher says 12-team PPR, 2-point tight end premium. Start Njoku, Olave, or Javonte. Ooh, interesting, because I kind of like Javonte this week, but Njoku in a 2-point tight end premium, I think I'm going to have to lean with Njoku. He would be my play here. Dante says, what's up? What's up, Dante? Anthony, let's go. Appreciate you being here. Trevor Lawrence or Dak Prescott is the question that he has. For me, I'm going to be playing Dak Prescott. I have him quite higher in my rankings this week. He comes in for me as my QB 9. Trevor Lawrence comes in as my QB 15. Rodgers or Russell Wilson? For me, it's going to be Aaron Rodgers. I don't think Russell Wilson has that long of a leash. Jackson Dart is cooking on this bench. Probably going to end up getting some playing time here sooner rather than later. If Russ has a disaster of a start in this game, I wouldn't be shocked if they turn it over as early as this week. So give me Aaron Rodgers this week. Goku, full PPR, sit 1, DJ Moore, Pearsall, or T-Mac. Interesting. I like the sit ones questions as well. And all of these guys are back to back in my rankings. I got Tetaroa at 21, Ricky at 22, and DJ Moore at 23. So I guess if we are benching one, it's going to be DJ Moore. However, if you're nervous about Mac Jones, I'm not nervous about Mac Jones, but if you're nervous about Mac Jones, you could sit Ricky Pearsall. But I would be playing T-Mac and Pearsall, I think, personally, if this was my lineup. Dante says, I have Laporta on my bench and plan on using Kraft rest of season. Who should I get for Laporta? It's an interesting question. I mean, obviously, if you have Kraft, I would plan on using him. If you could move Laporta, it's going to be tough because I feel like tight ends are more valuable in the draft than they actually are once you have to start trading them. That's why I don't like drafting elite tight ends for the most part. But if you can move him for a Tetaroa McMillan, or you can move him for a guys in that same tier that we just talked about, Ricky Pearsall, DJ Moore, maybe a guy like Mike Evans or something like that, I'd be interested in moving him for a wide receiver. J-Mo, Diggs, or Booty? It's not going to be Booty for me. As much as I liked him off of the waiver wire this week, I'm not that high on plugging him into my lineup yet. I do have Diggs currently sitting as my wide receiver 41, and I have J-Mo as my wide receiver 34, so I'd be playing Jameson Williams. Jonnu Smith, Evan Engram, or David Njoku? For me, it's going to be David Njoku quite easily. Don says, salute. Appreciate you, Don. Full PPR, Superflex, traded Keon Coleman, a late 26 first and a late 26 third for Ibuka. Did I overpay? No, I don't think so. I think you paid. I think it's going to end up looking like you underpaid here in a little while. Michael says, should I pick one or should I pick up one? Quentin Johnston, Cedric, Booty, and drop Jaden Reed. I like Cedric Tillman the most out of all of those guys. He would be a priority pickup for me. Do you drop Jaden Reed? It's going to be a while until he's back on the football field. I'm not against it. I'm really not against it. I think if you were to pick up one, it's going to be Cedric Tillman for me. Dallas defense or Seattle? Let's check. I have Dallas 3 spots higher. Dallas comes in as my 12th ranked defense this week. Seattle is my 15th. So it's going to be Dallas, I guess. Steve, flex one, full PPR, Travis Hunter, Henderson, or Jawan Jennings. If I'm flexing one of them in a PPR league this week, it's going to be Travis Hunter. They're scheming manufacturing touches for him. I know the little sound bite came out earlier this week. They want him to play more on defense. More defense doesn't mean less offense. Just means that he's going to play more defense. So I would be playing Travis Hunter in a full PPR. Dixon says, yo, I got a few questions. I'll make them separate comments. Okay, appreciate that already right away. Makes it easy for me to follow. Start one in PPR, Odunze, Judy, or Hollywood. Great question. I think Judy right now comes in as my wide receiver 30. Rome comes in as my wide receiver 31. And Hollywood Brown comes in as 32. So I have them back to back to back. I feel the best, I think, about Judy. But if I'm looking for a floor play, I think the floor play is Rome. I guess it's going to depend on how you're projected in your matchup this week. If it's supposed to be a close game, I would be going Judy. He still saw the targets that we wanted to see last week. But Rome has the big play touchdown potential, I think. Judy kind of has that too, though. Start one, QJ, Demont, or Ramondre. It's going to be David Montgomery for me there. Alex says, how many first-round picks is Puka worth? Would you trade McConkey in a first for him or A.J. Brown in a first? I am deep at wide receiver, so yeah, I have 426 first and 627 first. So yeah, you're pretty good with the picks. I would be holding on those 27 first, though. The 26 ones, I'm okay throwing them in. Would I trade one of those guys? Yeah, if I could go A.J. Brown and a 26 first for Puka, I'm absolutely doing it. How many is Puka worth alone? At least 2. If somebody was like, I want 2 of those first for Puka, I'm probably doing it too. So 2 first or AJ in the first would be my selection there. Dixon also says start one PPR, so was the last. Booty or Pacheco? I would be going with Pacheco, even though he isn't getting a full workload. Like I said with Booty, we've seen a little bit. I'm not confident enough yet to plug him in just like locked and loaded as a starter. Bruce City Bob, good to see you, man. Full PPR, tight end premium, Hunter Henry, Jordan Mason, Tracy Jr. You need one of them? It's interesting. I have these guys. I will say it's not going to be Hunter Henry for me. He's not going to be the guy. I am between Tracy and Jordan Mason. I think I'm going to lean Jordan Mason here in this game against Atlanta. I thought he looked efficient last week. I think he gets even more touches over the course of the year. It's just better for that offense. So I'm going to go with Jordan Mason. Where are we? I kind of lost my space here. I see we are getting a ton of questions in the chat, folks. I'm going to try and get to as many of these. I appreciate everybody coming in here and flooding it. I'm going to try and get to as many of these as possible. If you do not want to stick around, you do not want to wait around for me to answer your question, you get impatient, the best way to skip the line is to super chat. I will answer those immediately. It'll skip the line. It'll jump the line. It'll support the show also as well. Obviously, you don't have to. If you're patient waiting, you want to hang out with us, I will try and get to all of them, but that is a guarantee that I will get to your question next if you do throw that into the chat. Let's go to, while I'm trying to find myself, there we go, Bruce City Bob. All right, start one tight end and one flex, full PPR. Egbuka, Sutton, Swift, Charbonnet, Juwan Johnson, Fannin, and Pitts. I'm going to be playing, the start one flex is going to be, it's between Sutton and Egbuka. I can't remember who's higher in my rankings. I do have Sutton a few spots higher, so I'm going to play Cortland Sutton in the flex, and for the tight end, between Juwan Jennings and Harold Fannin, I think I'm going to go with, did I say Juwan Jennings? Between Juwan Johnson and Harold Fannin. But I'm going to go with Juwan Johnson this week. So give me Johnson and Sutton. Alex says he needs depth badly. His bench is basically empty. I'm assuming that is for the Puka question. Yeah, I mean, I would go A.J. Brown in a first and see if you can make that happen. Start one wide receiver in full PPR. Tyreek, Tet, J-Mo, Metcalf, Olave, Keon. The highest wide receiver in my rankings right now is Metcalf, I think. It is Metcalf. Metcalf is the highest over Tyreek and all of those other guys, so I'd be playing Metcalf this week. I picked up New England, but I found out Gonzo was out, and the reporter almost pissed off Tyreek. I'll sit on it and put it out, put a waiver for Detroit. Thank you. No worries. Yeah, I saw that where they said you haven't caught a touchdown or you haven't caught a pass for longer than 30 yards or something, and Tyreek kind of laughed at them and said, "Are you trying to piss me off?" Start three with Cook, Pollard, Walker, Javonte. I'm going to go with Cook for sure. I'm putting Pollard and Javonte into the lineup over Walker. Rate the squad, 12-team PPR, start 7, and any trades or moves to make. JD5, Chase Brown, Connor, Swift, Charbonnet, Benson, Lamb, Sutton, JSN, Igbuka, Golden, Pitts, Juwan, Fannin Jr. Tight end room, it looks like you're trying to pick it up off the waiver wire, which is fine. I think you got some decent guys there. The quarterback is fine. The running back room is solid. The wide receiver room is solid. I would say this is a very, very strong team. Let's call it an 8.5 out of 10. The only room for improvement maybe would be the tight end room, but you can see how that pans out over the next couple of weeks. I think we kind of covered that one. No worries, Trenton. Appreciate you being here. Should I try and trade Baker for Dart plus Judkins in Dynasty? Start off 0-1 with Waddle, Nico, and Njoku, and Reed underperforming. Should I try to trade Baker for Dart plus Judkins in Dynasty? If that is a move that you will make if you do not believe you're going to be competitive this year, because it could be 3 games for Dart, it could be 9 games, 10 games, 12 games for Dart to get on the football field. And the same thing can be said for Judkins. It could be 2 games, it could be 4 games, it could be something different. So I think you make that move if you don't want to contend. Week 1 is a little early, I think, to throw in the towel and just say, hey, these guys underperformed in week 1, so I'm going to throw the towel in. So give it another week or 2. I would try and see how your team performs over the next few weeks. But I don't hate the move if you are throwing in the towel. I think you might like that side of the deal in the long run, but it definitely hurts your chances of winning this year. Would you drop Tesla for J.K. Dobbins? Absolutely. I think I would. In a redraft, yes, I'm dropping Tesla for Dobbins. In a dynasty, no, you're not. Strange or Hawk, give me... That one's close. I think I have these guys pretty close in my rankings too. Hawkinson, tight end 7 on the week. Strange, tight end 9. So I'm going to go with Hawkinson, but just barely. Would you go Chubb, Charbonnet, or Devonta Smith this week in a full PPR? Appreciate you. Appreciate you, Caleb. Crazy that you're even here, man, given the circumstances that you got in your life. So appreciate you watching. Chubb, Charbonnet, or Devonta? I'm going to go Devonta. Dallas Goedert is out, and in games that Dallas Goedert was out last year, the 2 wide receivers did perform much, much better. So I'm going to be playing Devonta Smith this week. My wide receivers are CeeDee, Lamb, Drake, London, Emeka Egbuka, Stephon Diggs, Jaden Reed, Matthew Golden. Dynasty, should I look to move Golden? Right now's the bad time to move Golden. Obviously, Reed's going to miss a couple more weeks. This is going to be the time where he can either show that he is the guy that they drafted in the first round or just fade away and blend into the background of the wide receivers there in Green Bay. So I would be trying to hold and see what he does over the next couple of weeks. But if you do have people that are very, very, very excited about Matthew Golden potentially being the number 1 guy now that Reed is out, I will say I was trying to ship out my Matthew Golden share. I only have 1 of them in Dynasty, but I was trying to ship out and re-roll my Matthew Golden share today, sending offers for any 2026 first. If it's late, it doesn't matter. I was just willing to re-roll. Didn't get any bites. It doesn't seem like anybody's high on Golden at the moment. Jeremy says, what's going on, Drew? What's going on, Jeremy? How do you feel about the emergence of the Green Bay Packers? Minnesota might be the little sister of the division. Well, I don't know how you can be the little sister of the division when it feels like at worst you might be the second best team. I don't know how you can be the little sister. It does feel like the little sister is still the puny little Chicago Bears, but what do I know? The Green Bay Packers do look very good. Their defense looks good. Their offense still looks inconsistent. I'd like to see them get a little bit more consistent, but it should be a fun division this year. I think Green Bay and I think Minnesota are the best 2 teams. And that might be people. Johnny Detroit's probably in the chat fuming now. My running backs are Henderson, Connor, B-Rob, and Montgomery. Oh, this is for the Tesla J.K. Dobbins drop. I mean, you don't really need the running back, but I still think that Dobbins is better than Tesla. Javonte or Henderson this week? Give me... I'm going to have to double check this one. Back to back in my rankings. I knew I had to double check. Give me Javonte. Genty don't look much like... Hold on. Genty, I see the super chat I got from you, Rodney. You threw me off. I'm going to get to you right here. Genty don't look like much through preseason and now the season. Where do you have him? Dynasty, I still have him very high. Top 3 guy still. I'm not too worried about the first week or two. I think that offensive line has always projected to be bad. I've been on record in the offseason telling people, especially in best ball drafts, to pump the brakes on Genty. I thought it was going to be a little bit slower. I haven't wavered where I stand. Still think redraft, he's a low-end RB1. For Dynasty, he's still a top 5 guy, undisputed. Rodney, super chat, appreciate you, man. He says, I benched Kraft for Pitts. How do you feel about Pitts? I think Pitts is fine. Kraft is a guy that you're going to want to start over Pitts pretty much every single week. As far as Pitts goes right now, in my rankings this week, I do have him as my tight end 11, ahead of guys like David Njoku, ahead of guys like Mark Andrews, ahead of guys like Dalton Kincaid. So if you can find a way to flex him in a tight end premium, maybe, but I wouldn't be like pressed to put him into your lineup. I think he made the right decision, obviously, with Tucker Kraft. All right. Insidious says 10-man PPR, 2 flex, and I have McBride and a deep bench. Traded Kraft and Devontae Adams for Bucky Irving. Thoughts? If you have McBride and you have the deep bench, absolutely down for that. Think that's a great move for you because Bucky Irving had the usage you wanted to see there in week 1. Pick 2, Brody. Full PPR, Pickens, Hampton, Brown. Also London listed to go. Worried at all? Minorly worried about London. Still would play him. And if I'm picking 2, it's going to be London and Brown personally that I'm plugging into my lineup. I was offered a 26 second and 4th for Fannin and a 27 third Superflex 12 team full PPR, no tight end premium. I have Bowers and Kraft, so I don't need Fannin. Should I trade accept or try and work a better deal? Offered a 2nd and a 4th for Fannin. The fact that it's no tight end premium and you already have Bowers and Kraft, I don't feel attached to Fanning at all. I would try and counter and work a little bit of a better deal. If you could just get Fannin to go for the 2nd, I would do it. If not, try and keep a way where you can keep that 3rd in your pocket and do Fannin for maybe if you can do like Fannin and a 4th for the 2nd, I would try and do it too. But I don't think this is a bad compensation in a non-tight end premium. Andrew, is it ever worth drafting a tight end in rookie drafts if they're not projected to be elite? Am I better off just trading away my pick? It's absolutely worth drafting tight ends in rookie drafts. That's actually one of my favorite strategies is later in drafts, 3rd rounds, 4th rounds, taking shots on tight ends, putting them on my taxi squad for a year or two and seeing what happens over the next couple of years, because I don't typically like to chase the elite tight end at draft costs that they usually go at. I'll make exceptions, like if Bowers comes along, absolutely. I liked Kraft at the end of 1st rounds. But I think they're always worth drafting. Absolutely worth drafting. They're my favorite. Really, my taxi squads are only running backs and tight ends usually for the most part, and every once in a while, like a quarterback. So that's kind of how I keep my taxi squads. Would y'all trade Travis Etienne for T. Higgins 1-for-1? If you need the wide receiver, I would rather have T. Higgins. Thank you for answering my question. No worries. One more full PPR, start one, Tracy, Mason, or Henderson. Give me Henderson here. Different league, full PPR, pick 2, please. Swift, Hollywood Brown, Henderson, Odunze, Waddle. This one's closer. Let me double check my wide receivers. I think I'm going to go with... I think I'm going to play Henderson and Swift. I'm going to play the 2 running backs in full PPR. Should I invest in Kraft? I have Kittle, Jonnu, Dallas. It's an 8-man league, super flex, full PPR, half-point tight end premium, start 9. The owner is asking for Nico, and I would acquire Kraft in a 26-second. Hell no. Hell no. Are you giving up Nico Collins for Tucker Kraft in an 8-man half-point tight end premium league? No way. Especially when you have Kittle. Absolutely not. Half PPR, Ricky or Pickens. I do have Ricky higher in my rankings this week, I would probably be playing him. I'm a commissioner of a keeper league. I see the super chat, Alex. I will get you right after this. I'm a commissioner of a keeper league. Keep 2, Superflex, full PPR, start 8, 12-team bench, and 5 IR is 1. Thoughts on switching to 4 bench spots to make it more competitive? I think you could. It would just make waivers a little bit better. Maybe make it a little bit more competitive that way, but I don't hate 5 benches either. 4 or 5, there's not a big difference there. I see we got this 2 super chats, so let's get to those. Alex first. He came in with the $2. Appreciate you, Alex. He said, would Dylan Sampson be too much as a throw-in? Alex, I'm going to have to figure out what that is in reference to. Let me find it. Oh, the first. It's AJ Brown the first and Dylan Sampson for McConkey. It's not too much of a throw-in. I would still do it. I would still absolutely do it, Alex. Insidious with the super chat. Appreciate you. He says, same league, just got Bucky, 10-team PPR. I traded Tyreek and RJ Harvey for Drake London. Your thoughts? Well, I love that you're moving and grooving in this league already. Consolidating, getting tiered up into better players. I like that. Tyreek and RJ Harvey for London. Smash it. I think Tyreek is cooked. I haven't been a fan of drafting Tyreek this offseason. It's not looking good for the Dolphins. Their coach is already rumored of being fired. I like London, man. I think he's going to be a really good player for the rest of the year. All right. Let's see if we can figure out where I was. Appreciate everybody for the super chats that have come in. Means a lot. Also, just real quick, I want to let you guys know too, if you do want to support the show, I saw we had a couple people support the show last week. You can do so over on Underdog. If you play on Underdog, it will be promo code LeagueFFB. I'm trying to get this off the screen. Promo code LeagueFFB. You play $5. They will give you $50 in bonus funds. And you will also get a gimme pick for using the promo code LeagueFFB. That is a way to support the show. So I appreciate you guys if you do want to do that. And I appreciate you guys that have already done it before. It means a lot to me. All right. Where are we at, man? Chat is popping tonight. Appreciate everybody for being here. This is where we are. A-Rod says, yo, would it be crazy to trade Nico for JT and Tet in Dynasty? It's not crazy, but I don't think I would do it. I still prefer Nico over those other 2 guys. And I feel like if you're trading for Tet, it's because you want to get younger. But then getting JT doesn't make you younger because he's like a win now piece. So probably not. It would have to be very dependent on what my wide receiver room is. Benjamin says, should I start Baker or Justin Fields? If I start Baker, then I might have the triple stack depending on who I play at the flex. In my quarterback rankings this week, I want to say Justin Fields is higher for me. I have him as my QB 6. I have Baker as QB 10. So I would play Justin Fields personally. Thoughts on everybody in a league starting with $10 fab instead of $100 fab? I wouldn't do it. I think 100 is very easy for everybody to comprehend. Percentage-wise, you have 100% of your fab at $100. You spend $2, it's 2% of your fab. I think it's very easy to comprehend. I feel like $10 fab gives you no wiggle room. I mean, it's $1 bid or it's $2 bid. That's 10% to 20% of your fab on one player. I don't like that. Bo or Penix? Interesting that you would ask that because I do have Bo Nix at 12. Penix for me is a little bit lower at 19. I think that Vikings defense is legit. And I'm not just saying that with the jerseys in the back. Their defense is legit. Dogs, which I'm going to assume is Diggs, Hollywood, Jalen Warren, or Ridley. You need to start 1 wide receiver and 1 flex. I would start Hollywood at the wide receiver and Ridley probably at the flex. Yeah, and then he fixed it right here. Y'all knew that answer already. Come on, man. What answer? What? Don't get on nobody trap. Daniel says, Dynasty, I have a very young team in Dynasty with 0 good running backs. Warren, Tet, Puka, Egbuka, Jefferson, offered a 26 first, a 27 second, and Chase Brown. What do you think? I'm confused here. With 0 good running backs, you offered a 26 first, 27 second, plus Chase Brown. I'm assuming it's a 26 first plus a 27 second for Chase Brown. That's what I'm going to assume this is. And I would give a first and a second for Chase Brown if I'm competitive this year. So I would do it if you think you're going to be contending. What are you doing with Bowers this week? Would you start Strange over him? If Bowers plays, you play Bowers. I don't think he plays. I think he gets ruled out before it's all said and done. So I think Strange is a fine play. If you want to be very safe, you can play just Strange over Bowers. But I have Strange like a tight end 9 this week. Start 1 for the flex, Rome, QJ, Sharp, PPR. Give me Rome. Is Ferguson and Engram in a half PPR non-tight end premium enough to win a ship, or should I make a move? Sorry, I'm over here just sucking on this cough drop. Yeah, I think it's enough. You have to have a strong wide receiver and running back core around them, but the tight end position, honestly, is so unimportant in anything that's not tight end premium. And there's a lot of season to find guys off of waivers and stuff. Dang, you have no choice but to start him. Maybe. Full PPR flex position, Pollard, Sampson, Benson, Ricky, Pearsall, or Henderson. It's not Sampson. It's not Benson. For me, it's going to be Ricky P. When Green Bay and Minnesota meet, I'd set the line at 4.5 sacks for McCarthy. You taking the over or the under? I would go the under at 4.5 sacks on McCarthy. But I'm biased. Anthony says, are we worried about Drake London coming into this week? Very minorly, but not enough to bench him in my lineups at all. I think he's going to be fine. I'll live with it if he has a bad week. Like, that's the player that London is. 12 team, Superflex, PPR, 2-point tight end premium, 2 tight ends, and a flex spot. All other spots are flex spots. Already have Warren, Kincaid, Goddard, and Theo Johnson. Traded Chuba and JT Sanders for Laporta and Noel. You have Warren, Kincaid, and Goddard. You traded Chuba and JT Sanders for Laporta and Noel. In a 2-point tight end premium, I don't hate it. I don't hate it. Laporta could be fine. It's two starting tight ends. You're going to be able to play Warren and Laporta pretty much every week. Where are we at? Here we go. Thoughts on Swift? Traded away JCM and Mason to get him, and Sutton rest of season. You traded JCM and Mason to get Swift and Sutton? That's insane, if that's true. But I think Swift is fine rest of season. I worry that he'll ever be a bell cow. He had the usage in week 1, but I just always worry that it'll ever hold up. But he should be fine. Sutton, I think, is going to be a dominant wide receiver 2 for fantasy football teams for the remainder of the year. Nah, pick 2 out of Hampton, Pickens, and Hollywood Brown. I would go Hampton, Pickens, Hollywood Brown. I'm going Pickens and Hampton. Johnny says LMAO, not fuming. I do have concerns about Detroit losing 2 guards, a center, and both coordinators. Calling Minnesota a contender with a rookie quarterback who only threw for 140 yards is wishful thinking. I don't know if I call them a contender. I did say they were the second best in the division. Take that for what you will. Vikings ruled out a bunch of players. Penix versus Minnesota, or roll the dice with Daniel Jones versus Denver. I would rather play Penix versus Minnesota than Daniel Jones versus Denver. Since Purdy is out, who should I stash? Manor, Penix, Rodgers, Daniel Jones. His QBs are May, Purdy. Wide receivers are BTJ, Sutton, Tet, Igbuka, Coleman. I mean, you're going to be able to play May every single week. I'm not worried about Purdy being out. I would just play May, and I would stash Manor. Would you trade Ridley for Sharp and a second in desperate need of running back depth? Would you trade Ridley for Sharp and a second? Yes, I would trade Ridley for Sharp and a second. Ridley or JMO? Give me JMO. Goff or Herbert, give me Herbert. Tracy or Jalen Warren, that one is closer, and I'm going to have to reference my rankings. I do have Jalen Warren higher in my rankings. Actually, it's quite significantly higher. It's at about 10 spots. Olave or Ridley in full PPR. I currently have Olave as my wide receiver 38 on the week. Ridley is my wide receiver 40. So give me Olave. 1 QB, I have Dak and Lawrence. Thinking about sending a second for Dart. Thoughts? 1 QB. I'm okay with it. But I don't think it's necessary. Drake London or JT in an 8-man league. I would rather play Drake London. Penix, Lawrence, Geno. Give me Lawrence. Ridley or Sharp in a second. I would take Sharp in a second. Tracy, Mason, or Jalen Warren in full PPR. Give me Jalen Warren. Keaton, my guy, he says, Andrew, hope all is well, big dog. In a blender, trying to figure out my running back 2 for the week, full PPR. Pacheco, Tracy, and Sampson. It's tough. I do have Pacheco as the highest in my rankings. I think he would be the guy that I play despite what we saw last week. He also probably has the best touchdown odds of the group. Keenan Allen or RJ Harvey? I would rather play Keenan Allen. Brett says, how are you feeling? A little bit better, man. If you guys don't know, we did the live stream on Tuesday. I was a little bit under the weather. I was a little bit sick. Feeling better. I think I'm on the tail end of it. Hopefully my energy feels a little bit better tonight. But thank you for checking, Brett. Appreciate you. Fannin or Strange this week, trying to survive through the Kittle injury. Got these guys very close. I got Strange as... Actually, I don't have them as close as I thought. Strange is the guy that I would be playing against that Cincinnati defense. PPR, Flex 1, Ridley, Coleman, Aaron Jones, or Mason. I think I would play Aaron Jones. Is Bill the clear number 1 on Washington? By default, now, yes. I don't know if I would call him clear, but he is the number 1. It's my first year playing Dynasty. I got into it watching your content. Dude, I absolutely love to hear that. When do you start looking to trade future picks? Do you attempt to consolidate for vulnerable players or sell high for picks? Okay, Dixon, this is the best advice that I can give you. Holding on to those future draft picks is probably something I would recommend to new players for their first year or so. Get through the offseason rookie draft process. Experience what that rookie draft process is like for yourself. You want to see how those picks turn into values. You want to be a part of that rookie draft. You want to see all of those things. So as tempting as it is to use that as assets and ammunition for future trades, hold on to them for now. I can tell you all day long about how to value rookie picks, but you'll never really fully grasp it until you experience it yourself. So in those first year or 2 that you're playing, hold those picks tightly. Hold them to the vest. Just hold on. It doesn't hurt anything. If the draft comes around and you don't want a player, you can trade it at that point in time. But right now, while you're still understanding pick values or trying to understand pick values, keep them close. And that's the only advice that I can really give you here right now. But if you do feel like later in the season, as you get closer to the trade deadline, you're the number 1 team in your league and it's clear in the rankings and the max points for is showing and supporting that, at that point, you can maybe trade a pick and get some extra added ammunition to help you win a championship. Because at the end of the day, we do want to win championships more than anything else. But I would just say, be cautious with those picks. I wouldn't really be looking to trade any of them right now. Should I get Chipotle or make a ham sandwich for dinner tonight? I mean, if it was me, I would be irresponsible and I would go get Chipotle and I would spend money. But if you want to save money, make the ham sandwich, brother. Full PPR, Andrews or Njoku. Give me Njoku. Kraft or Laporta. Rest of season, full PPR, no tight end premium. Oh, man. I think with readout, I kind of want to go Kraft, but they're very similar. They're very, very similar. I think I lean Kraft right now. Dynasty Superflex, 6 point per touchdown. Need to sit one. Daniels played, Mahomes and Stroud. Sit Stroud. Myers, Monty, or Javonte. I would go Javonte. I have him a couple spots higher than Montgomery, and those would be the two that I would be looking between. So give me Javonte. ETN, Devontae, Tyreek, or Ted McMillan, half PPR. You get to pick 3 of them. So really it's sit one. And I think the guy that I'm sitting... Wow, this is going to be scary. I think the guy that I'm sitting is Tyreek. I think I'm sitting Tyreek Hill. And that sounds crazy, but I'm doing it. Wow. Are we really there with Tyreek? I guess so. Do you live by the philosophy of trade tight ends once they hit peak value, rinse and repeat like they do at South Harmon? I don't know if I would say I live by that philosophy. I probably would like to say it more in a simplified matter of the tight end position is always replaceable. You can find guys year in and year out that can be producers at the position. So if I can sell out on a guy that I think has similar ceiling as another guy and I get extra added on top, I'll always do it. Always do it. Good picks in the pick'em last week. Coming for that top spot this week, being 1 win behind. I'm off to a good start. I picked Green Bay over Washington. We'll see what we can do this week. But I told you guys in the Discord, you guys had to come take the crown from me. At least I backed it up in week 1. I told you it's all downhill from here, though. Stranger Bowers. If Bowers plays, you're playing Brock Bowers. Thoughts on Ridley for Sharp? I think we've answered this like 3 times. Thoughts on this trade? Tyreek Hill for ETN. This just happened in my league. Redraft, I don't know what argument you have for Tyreek Hill right now based off of the last 12 months of production for him. I don't know what argument you have. So if you need running back, I think it's fine. Who's going to be the workhorse between Pat and Jonnu? Neither. But I prefer Jonnu over Pat. Trading away Dylan Sampson and Chris Olave, what wide receiver can I snag for both of them? It's going to vary depending. I don't really know if this is a dynasty or a redraft question. I guess if it's a redraft question, if I can move Sampson and Olave and get to like a Pickens, a DJ Moore, I'm trying to do that. A dynasty, I don't even know where we could go from there. I'm assuming this is redraft though. How often will you be doing this type of show? This is my favorite type during the season. I do this 3 times a week actually. So I do this on Tuesday nights for Q&A, Friday nights for Q&A, and I do on Sundays before the games. I do a start sit Q&A as well. Have Pat's running backs when I can drop Stevenson? Don't understand the question here, Anthony. Have Pat's running backs. Oh, I have the Patriots running backs. When can I drop Stevenson? If you want to drop him now, I'm not even opposed to it. I think if you have Henderson, there is no point in really having Stevenson. You're just wasting 2 bench spots on 1 backfield. I was offered a possible early to mid 26 first and a mid to late 26 first for Fannin, Ewers, Sharps, and Judkins. I'm inclined to decline. It's the same league, different offer. Should I accept or decline? Oh, wow. An early to mid first next year and a mid to late first next year. I think I would be accepting this. As much as I like Judkins, there's enough yellow flags still there that I think you can re-roll. And if it's early to mid, you have a shot at Jeremiah Love, who I would probably prefer at this point in time over Judkins. The other guys, I'm happy to move all 3 of them for 1 first. It doesn't really matter to me there, but yeah, I think I'm considering this. No worries, Frank. Appreciate you. Pacheco, Harvey, Ellick, Benson, full PPR. You got to flex 1. Unfortunately, it's Pacheco, and that gross little throw-up face, that's exactly what I would be doing. Y'all hit the like button, especially if Andrew answered your question damn straight. Appreciate you, Trap. God damn, I love it when people like this are in the chat, man. You reminded me. If you guys haven't already, we're at 17 likes. Let's hit the like button. The more that you guys like this show, the more that you guys like our channel, the more it gets pushed out in the algorithm. So if you are here, I have answered your question. I've answered a lot of questions. We have 130 questions in the chat right now that I've been trying to get through in this hour. If we've answered it, hit the like button for me, man. It's the least you can do. Vikings defensive special teams worth stashing if I have the Rams. I don't like holding on to 2 defenses, so I'm probably not wasting a second roster spot on another defense. How many more elite seasons does Kittle have in him? We're getting to the end. We're getting to the end with Kittle. I would say this year, well, what's left of it, hopefully the injury doesn't linger into the back half. Maybe next year, and then at that point, like, we're kind of getting where it's scary. I will say I have Kittle on one team where if I'm not a super strong contender, and when I say a super strong contender, if I'm not like a top 3 team going into the trade deadline, I'm probably selling Kittle at that point to a contender and trying to get a first plus in a tight end premium, maybe a late first plus a second, like something like that. That's probably what I'm trying to do. Have Thornton Jr. and Troy Franklin. Can I drop both of them? They're my wide receivers 6 and 7, so just bench stashes. I would be more inclined to drop Franklin than I am Thornton, but I think both are definitely droppable. Swift, Lawrence, or Watson, as in Taylor, Jennifer, or Emma. I gotta pick one of them. I think this is gonna be a very unpopular opinion. I think I'm going Emma Watson. Lawrence or Nix, 4-point passing touchdown. Give me Nix. Keaton says lost Kittle, picked up Fergie to start, and stashed Fannin. Johnny Smith, Kincaid, Otten on the wire. Would you make a move? CD is in my lineup. No, I think you're fine with where you're at. Of those guys, I would play Ferguson this week, and I'd be fine with that. Oh, we are finally catching up. Thank God, dude. That was stressful. I won't lie to you. This is what I signed up for, so I can't complain. Aaron says, follow up to the Laporta Kraft rest of season question. It's a dynasty league, and I'm a real contender. In this league, should I look to trade Laporta or Kraft or keep them in case of injury? I don't mind keeping both of them in a dynasty. However, if I am trading one, I would be trading Laporta and keeping Kraft because I think you can get similar production. And I think Laporta is worth more in the trade market. Gronk says, tips on getting my league as a whole to trade more. It starts with the managers. You have to have the right managers that want to have conversations with each other. My home league, we have a group chat that's literally just like an iMessage group chat, and we're chatting in there all the time. And so we're actively talking to each other, which just leads to more trades. So just figure out ways that you and your league can talk to each other more often. And I think with more conversations comes more trade offers. It feels so simple, but that's kind of just the gist of it. Is the 26th class worth drafting, or should I trade away my 26 drafts before my rookie draft? It's going to depend on your team context. I will say that I'm a little bit underwhelmed with the class. We're diving into this class over on the Dynasty Nerds channel. We've been doing this prospect show over the last couple of weeks. Today we just recorded our running back prospects. If you guys haven't checked that out, it's on the channel now. I don't love the class. I think there's good players like there is in every class, but it's not deep. It's a little mediocre. You answer the questions correctly, you get right to it with context, or shows guys just ramble on and on one question. LOL. Smitty, I'm about had a seizure trying to read this. You answer the questions correctly, you get right to it with context. Other shows, guys just ramble on. Okay, I appreciate it because you did come in with the other. Appreciate that. I mean, look, man, this is the thing. I do this because I love it. Now, you guys come in here and you guys ask questions. My goal, at least for 1 hour on this, Q&A, I need to answer your guys' questions as quickly as I can. So when we got 140 questions in the chat, we can slow it down a little bit now. But when we got 140 questions in the chat, I want to hit everybody's question in an hour. Sometimes it's not possible, but I will try and get right to it. So I appreciate you. In tight end premium, 4 points. 4-point tight end premium. Would you play Laporta over Sun God, McConkey, or BTJ? Wide receivers get 2 points per reception. I have Kincaid and Fannin, and Pitts on my bench. Holy shit. 4 points per reception for the tight end. I'm still not playing Laporta over Sun God or McConkey, I don't think, because they're getting 2 points per reception. So really, in my mind, I'm like, this is basically a half PPR league with a 1 point tight end premium. I don't know, man. I don't know. My mind is broken trying to think about 4 points to the tight end, but I think I would still be playing Sun God, McConkey, and BTJ because they're still getting 2 points per reception. That's insane, though, by the way. Angel Reese or Caitlin Clark? I think Caitlin Clark is the better basketball player. Thoughts on the trade? 3 wide receiver, 2 flex league. I received Lamb, Igbuka, and Harvey for Jamar Chase and Jacobs. I think I would rather have Edison. Is this a dynasty or a redraft? Because in a redraft, I think I'd rather have Jamar and Jacobs. In a dynasty, there's an argument for the Igbuka and Harvey side. But in a redraft, I think I want the Jamar and Jacobs side. Keaton Mitchell, the Ravens running back, healthy scratch, not running back 2, was hoping he would be the replacement after King Henry rides into the sunset after this Super Bowl win. That's actually the first. You just beat me, actually, to this. That's the first that I've heard that he's a healthy scratch. I know that he was dealing with the injury that he suffered in the preseason. I don't think he was ever going to be the replacement. He always felt like a stopgap guy, but he always did feel like he could be a handcuff in an offense that was going to be very good. So I never viewed him as the next guy. But that's if he's a healthy scratch, that's a little bit puzzling. Aaron says, appreciate the feedback as well, brother. You're A1 as always, and so are you, man. I appreciate you. How to convince some of my league that they aren't contenders and should sell their elite assets to rebuild. Gentle love. You gotta show them, not tell them. Most people will be receptive when you try and tell them. I guess not receptive. Most people don't want to hear the fact that you think they are not a contender. That just puts the defensive mechanisms up immediately right away. So maybe let them see it, let them lose a couple games, and then be like, hey, I just noticed maybe this is the direction that you wanted to go. I don't know, but here's some younger assets or here's some draft picks. Let me get those contending pieces off of your roster. That's the best way to do it. Redraft, yeah, in a redraft, I think I like the Jamar Chase and Jacobs side. He says, I'm worried about Burrow because he gets sacked too many times. There's still such an elite offense. But valid concerns, the injury concerns, I get them. Alex says, Purdy worth dropping. I have Penix and Jones on my bench. 1 QB leagues may be worth dropping for a couple of weeks. In a Superflex, no. But even in a 1 QB, I'm a little nervous about dropping him. I think I'd rather, because I think when he's back, you would much rather play him than those other guys. But I'm not against it if you need the roster flexibility right now. Silent B says 10-man PPR, 2 wide receivers, 1 flex. I didn't get my first wide receiver until round 6. My starting wide receivers are DJ Moore, JMO, What's a realistic wide receiver I can target to get a tier up at the position, or should I hold off for a little while? I would say probably hold off a little while. DJ Moore and JMO didn't have the greatest week ones. I still think that they're fine wide receivers. Waiting till round 6 is risky. I'd be interested to see what the rest of the team looks like, just because if you waited that long, you should be elite everywhere else. If you are going to try and tier up from somewhere, though, I would be trying to tier up from like JMO to like a Cortland Sutton. That would be something that I'd be trying to do depending on what other pieces you have on the roster. By the way, folks, 55 minutes into this, we got about 5 more minutes left. So I'm calling 5-minute warning. Get those questions in. I'll try and get through all of them for another 5 more minutes or so, and then we'll be wrapping it up here for tonight's Q&A. But I seriously appreciate everybody who's been in here so far. That is about as fast as we've seen the chat fly, and I'm appreciative. I love it. I love it, man. Thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you for valuing my opinion. Thank you for putting the questions in the chat, interacting with me, hanging out with me. It means a ton. So thank you. Where are we at here, though? Rob, my guy, keeps throwing in the questions. Andrew, how many trades do you make in the season? Depends. I'm fairly active, though. I'm quite an active dynasty manager, so I would say in most of my dynasty leagues, when you go into Sleeper's league history and you look at like transactions, you can see like the amount of transactions you've done historically. I'm usually like a top 3 or 4 guy as far as transactions go in leagues, so I'm fairly active. Superflex 12-team full PPR. Would you trade Mahomes for Marvin Harrison Jr. and a 27 or 26 second? Or is Mahomes worth more? I have JJM, Penix, Dart, Mahomes, and Melton. Melton? This is my Harvey and early first trade. I'm confused on who the hell Melton is. Who is Melton? So to answer your question, I do think Mahomes is worth a little bit more than that in a super flex league. You do have the quarterback room, though, where you have some depth. I just don't know who the fuck Melton is, dude. He said Milton. Okay. Okay. I don't think Milton's that name-worthy. I think he's just a backup forever. But yeah, I think Mahomes is worth a little bit more than that. Edison says, also, wouldn't you be concerned if Jacobs doesn't drop 20-plus points with so many carries? 23 last night. No, I'm not. He's got the volume, and the volume is still there, and I just think he's still going to be fine. It's one of the better offenses in the NFL. He's seeing the volume. There's no other guys in the offense that are going to get carries. There's not really anything there that I'm too worried about at the moment. What should I buy Addison at? Keep your Vikings bias out of your answer, please. LOL. Superflex, full PPR, start 9. I think Addison continues to float around that late first, early second range. You might get people that will give him up to you for, I would say if you can get him for 2 seconds, an early and a late, sure. But I think I'd be comfortable giving a late first for him. I'm beating you in the Pick'em League too. Nobody's beating me right now. I'm number 1, man. Anthony says, thank you so much. Appreciate you, Anthony. Silent says, my draft went CMC, JT, Josh Allen, Amarion Hampton, Kittle, DJ Moore, J-Mo, Rashi Rice, Caleb Johnson. Okay, so help is on the way. You are strong other places. The Kittle thing sucks, but I think you're all right. Mario Kart or Super Smash Bros? Honestly, I was a Mario Kart kid, man. I played Mario Kart all the time. There was a period of time where I would come home from school. I would go to my friend's house. This was in high school even, like all the way up into high school. And I would go to my buddy's house and we'd have like Mario Kart tournaments with the basketball team. Like me and my basketball buddies, we would go to his house and have Mario Kart tournaments on the Wii. That shit was so fun, dude. Jason says, start 1, full PPR, Nick Chubb, Jalen Warren, Pittman, with probably Surtain on him and Waddle. Start 1 would be Jalen Warren. Bazooka Joe. Start 2, full PPR, Myers, Judy, Swift, Pollard. give me Judy and Swift. Dak's backup. Yeah. We're there. We got it. We figured it out. I decided to go JJ McCarthy. God bless you, buddy. What did I almost say? Brother and buddy at the same time. Yo, what up, John? Appreciate you sneaking in at the very last second. I traded Hampton for Rice. Half PPR, I get roasted. Nah, it's fine. I'm not going to roast you. Are we worried about Walker? Could Charbonnet overtake him? Yes, we should be worried about Walker. You should have been worried about Walker. I tried to tell you to be worried about Walker all offseason, so at this point, I can't blame y'all. I mean, I don't have anything to tell y'all other than I try to tell you so. And that's not me victory lapping, but the injuries, it's just, they've always been there, and it was evident that he was dealing with something in the preseason. Pacheco versus the Eagles or Cedric Tillman at Baltimore. Give me Tillman. I got Genty and guys now, wide receiver, Rice, London, Marv, Hunter. Not bad. JMO for Sutton is criminal. I mean, what would you rather have? I'm assuming you would rather have Sutton, right, Johnny? And he said, who should he tier up to? I would try and go tier up to it. He's obviously got to add to it. You can't go straight across. That's insane. Ridley, Harvey, or Hollywood, half PPR. Hollywood. And these are the last two questions, so appreciate it. Thank you all. Thank you for all of your time, Andrew. Now go to bed, brother. Don't tell me what to do, Rob. The hell? No, thank you. Appreciate you. Anthony says, thank you. Needed to hear that. I think it's evident that Charbonnet is more involved than people want, and he's going to continue to be more involved than people want. So it is what it is. All right, folks. 170 plus questions fired out in about an hour and 1 minute. So thank God we got through everything. I was worried there for a minute. I really was worried that we weren't going to get it to everybody. I'm going to remind you guys one more time as we get on out of here. If you want to support the show, the best way to do that is by playing on Underdog. Code LeagueFFB is the promo code that you will sign up and use. There's also a link in the description where if you play $5 this week, they will give you $50 in bonus cash, and you will also get a gimme pick in this week's games that you can use to help you win some more money, get you a leg up in your choice of players, their lines, all of that stuff like that. So appreciate you guys for supporting the show. Does directly help financially support us, so that's a way that you can do that if you don't want to. If you want to help us freely by supporting the show, if you want to do the free things, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, join the Discord, do all of that good stuff. But with all of that being said, I have nothing else for you guys today, so we will see you on our next episode. But until then, peace out, folks.